there's a very distinctive, cool green glow from this glass. Hello guys, it is of course me, Trollface the Man, and this will be my first video back since I had that operation to remove the brain tumor. For those that are concerned, I have actually been doing fairly well. So, thankfully, I had a lot of support from everybody that I very much appreciate. Anyways, I wanted to do a quick video just talking about something that I think is pretty cool, which is I had recently gotten a Geiger counter. I had gotten this from Amazon. I think it was like $40. I will link it below if you want to buy one yourself. And if you do want to buy one yourself, please use that link because it will help support the channel at no additional cost to you. I'm not sponsored by this. This is something I had bought on my own, but it's an affiliate link. So if you do purchase using it, it will help support the channel. Anyways, I wanted to show off some of the radiation of the uranium glass pieces that I have. The thing is though, well, first let me explain what uranium glass is. Uranium glass was manufactured just up until about World War II, where they started having more regulations on uranium. So these are all like vintage pieces. The thing that's cool about uranium glass is that it has a special property that it glows green, a very distinctive green, under UV light. This is more like the standard uranium glass that is just the uranium dioxide, I think it's dioxide, added to the glass. It gives it this sort of yellowish green color, but this also has a clearing agent added to it. This is the sort of more popular later on versions of uranium glass where they use the uranium as a base coloring, and then they add iron oxide, I believe, normally to the glass to make it more green. This is like a custard uranium glass. And this is kind of a combination of different types of uranium glass where you have these sort of clear sections, and then you also have these more, translucent but cloudy sections, which is all very cool. So I have a UV light here. I'll show you the glow from them. This UV light is just something I had made a while ago. I can't find my other UV light. Ignore the extra circuitry here. This is for if I wanted to hook it up to a 12-volt supply directly. I've since added on a buck boost converter to it, so that way I can run it off of 5 volts all the way up to like 36 volts, and it will always give the LEDs the right amount of power that they need. So if I plug this into this USB supply, we'll turn on our light here, and you can see there's a very distinctive, cool green glow from this glass. Now, as I had mentioned, this glass is radioactive, and I do have a Geiger counter here, so I want to show some of its radioactivity. However, this Geiger counter will only pick up beta and gamma radiation and not alpha radiation, which most of the radiation that comes from this glass is going to be in the form of alpha radiation. So if I use a not particularly strong glass like this hat and I put it next to this counter, it will do very little if nothing. The clicks that you hear normally are just basically stray radiation that's in our environment naturally, background radiation, but nothing. This one, not really anything either. However, this piece right here, and again, this won't detect alpha radiation, which is the majority of the radiation emitted from uranium glass. But if the glass has enough of the uranium in it, it can also emit significant amounts of beta or gamma radiation too. This piece right here, as you can see, emits a fair amount of radiation in those specific spectrums. This piece right here, if any of you guys have any information on it, I've been trying to look everywhere to find more info on it. It has a stamp on the inside, and through my research, the best I can determine, the stamp is very, very hard to read, but the best I could determine based off of the stamp is that it was manufactured the 9th month, 18th day in 1872. So it's a very old piece. And it has some unique features that I've never seen on a piece of glass before, which is you can see it's actually stress cracked over time around the rim and around the bottom and even on the inside a little bit. I've never seen a glassware do that before, which is very fascinating to me. But it definitely is uranium glass. So again, if you have any type of pattern, or if you know the pattern, you know the manufacturer, the date, time, whatever, I'd be very curious to hear about it. But this piece is actually very radioactive. It's one of the only pieces in my collection that it's kind of like, is that safe to handle? I'm not quite sure, because again, it emits a fair amount of radiation to it. The thing is that uranium glass in general is fairly safe to handle if you're doing it only, in moderation. If I were to hold on to any of these pieces of uranium glass, like continually, like I were to keep it in my pocket or something, there's very likely a chance that it could cause some type of problem in the future. But handling something for very brief periods of time, even if it's radioactive, just as long as it's not radioactive enough, and depending on the type of radiation it emits, can be reasonably safe because, as I said, this is just tripping from normal background radiation that's going on. We're constantly being hit by radiation. And just as long as we try and keep it under a certain threshold, in general, it's fairly safe. If we get above that threshold, then our chances of like bad things happening, like cancer or such, goes up drastically. So some people might ask, because I have a huge collection of uranium glass, because I really do have a huge collection of it, am I putting myself at significant risk of, cancer or various things like that because of my collection being so big and the massive amount of radiation that it's potentially emitting? That is a good question. So I'm going to take this counter and we're going to try and see how much radiation it seems like, beta and gamma radiation that my uranium glass is putting out. So this is part of my collection. I actually have much more. I need to organize it better later on. But this is, probably 40. They're stacked up on top of each other, probably 40 different pieces of uranium glass. Never mind the red glass that's down below. I do have some uranium glass mixed in there, but that's all manganese glass, which is non-radioactive, but it still fluoresces under UV, which is cool. But anyways, let me stick the Geiger counter into this cabinet, and we'll see just how much it trips. So here's the Geiger counter. It's on. Put it in here. Yeah. I mean, slightly higher than ambient, but not by much. If I put it right next to a piece of glass, like that really strongly radioactive one, I get some type of result. But in general, there's not much being emitted. Again, this does not detect alpha particles, which is going to be a majority of them, but alpha particles compared to beta and gamma are a lot safer because they have a hard time permeating our skin. Now you can see that I have that radioactive, the highly radioactive egg holder, it should be, right here at the side of this. So if I put this right next to where that is, nothing. I'm basically getting no radiation at all from that. Versus if I put it right next to it on the inside, you can see that I am getting radiation from it. So even just having this glass contained inside of this cabinet seems to be stopping a vast majority of whatever radiation might make its way through. So, yeah, I mean, it's relatively safe. That also tells me that likely the radiation that is being emitted from that is probably beta radiation, because it's able to be stopped so easily, versus gamma radiation is pretty difficult to stop. I do have a metallic paint on the inside of the cabinet. I had that for reflectivity. It could be very possible that that is stopping a lot of the radiation. However, this door isn't painted at the inside, so if I put it right here, still nothing. So even just this little bit of composite wood is stopping the radiation from from escaping the cabinet. So I could stand here reasonably all day long like this and be perfectly fine. So as to whether or not the radiation is going to kill me, just having a huge collection of it around, even if it wasn't contained inside of this cabinet, probably not. But especially contained inside of this cabinet, there is basically no real harmful radiation coming out as far as I can tell. I could be wrong, but it seems like that it's pretty relatively safe. Yeah, so uranium glass, collecting it has been a very fun and interesting hobby for me. Just being able to go out to garage sales, resale shops, and be able to find this sort of unique radioactive glass. It's just kind of a fun process. And there's so many different colors and looks to it. Like this one, for example, right here is actually pink, but it still has the uranium as an additive to it. And you can even find some really unique. And this is why either a Geiger counter that can detect alpha radiation is important, or a UV light. You can even get pieces of glass that wouldn't make you think uranium at all until you hit them with either a light or a Geiger counter. It's hard to see, but that is fluorescing that sort of green color. You can see it on the edges and stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video. If you like the video, please remember to hit the like button, to leave a comment if you haven't already, and to subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and thank you to my awesome Patreons who help support the channel and make getting things like that Geiger counter and stuff possible. I appreciate it very much, and bye.